strong. You don't feel confident. You don't feel like you are going to win. You don't feel like whatever obstacle shows up in front of you, that you're going to be okay, because this is who you are. This is what you do. And sometimes you have no clue why. Why did I just feel like that? Why did I shrink when this person walked in the room? Or why did I go over here and this happened? Why didn't I raise my hand and speak up? Why didn't I? Right? What's that about? What's going on? What's in me? Right? What's the problem there? Right? That's what I want to talk about. So why? Right? Why do some people have a lack of self-confidence? Now, one thing I want to say is everyone has those experiences. That person that you may say, no, not so-and-so, she's always, not so-and-so, he's always. I guarantee you, right? Because I'm the person that has the conversations with those people, right? Those heroic people who seem super confident, right? First of all, they've developed that. They've grown to that particular point. And second of all, they even have moments where they don't feel strong, where they don't feel confident, where they don't trust in their skills, their abilities, and their judgment. So it's something that haunts us all, right? But why? Right? So I'm going to give a couple of the reasons why real quick. So the first thing is, we've had goofy negative experiences. Pardon me, right? Your confidence is low in a particular area because you've been through some things. And now you have a story attached to this particular thing or something similar, right? And sometimes you went through it, or you witnessed it, or you saw it, or you've been programmed to believe that this is something that you should fear, or something that should make you nervous, or something that, you may not be equipped to handle. So you've been through some things, and that's why you struggle with confidence in that area, right? Maybe you've been bullied. Maybe you've been criticized and beat down, and maybe you've had someone just attacking you with all of this goofy negative energy. Right? And that's why you don't feel so confident in a particular area, right? You've actually been through some things, right? Maybe you've crashed and burned. Maybe you've failed. And now in this particular area, and now you're faced with this particular challenge again, and you're like, you're remembering the time you fell on your face, right? You're remembering the time that you stood up to speak and drew a blank, right? Completely forgot about what was going on. The first time I went to stand up in church, I was supposed to read the scripture many, many, many moons ago, right? Now, a couple things. First of all, I know how to read. Second of all, I knew the scripture by heart. I stood up there, and it was my church, so it was my people. So I shouldn't have been nervous. But I stood up there, and my temperature started to rise. I'm telling you, I started perspiring. I had a whole meltdown up there. I could have just said the scripture out. I knew the scripture. Not only did I know it, it was literally right in front of me. I could have just read it. Blah, 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 blah. Right? But I had a meltdown. Why? Because people always made a big deal about speaking publicly. Right? And I listened to all of that. I heard people share about their negative experiences every time, the first time they stood up. And so I said, well, how am I going to step up and just be confident and just feel great about doing this when this is what tends to happen with people? Me not realizing that I had done that 1,000 times, right? I've stood up in a room and told stories, right? I've captivated audiences before, but just in a different setting. That standing up there, on the pulpit, standing at the podium, Bible in front of you, everyone just patiently waiting, that shook me up. And so I bought into the other people's stories. Right? So sometimes we have experiences without having experiences. You'll catch that one later. Sometimes you have experiences without having experiences. I had a negative experience without even having a negative experience, which caused me to have a negative experience. Right? I heard about negative experiences, and I bought into the fact that, I'm not exempt from this negative experience, and I didn't even examine the actual facts. And it caused me to have a negative experience, but it dampened my confidence. And then when they asked me, did I want to go back up? I avoided it at all costs. Whenever it was time to start the service, or whenever assignments were being handed out, I would conveniently be somewhere else. I would conveniently be in another room somewhere. because I wanted no parts. Fast forward, right? I became the efficient. If you don't know what that is, that's the person who literally runs everything, who literally starts and officiates and runs and closes the services. So I went from not being able to say something I had committed to memory and as a backup literally in front of me to the person who, right? So you're not doomed when you struggle with self-confidence, you're not doomed, right? But it may be a thing. And in that case, for me, it was a negative experience that wasn't even my negative experience, right? I had bought into, right? You ever be nervous about a thing because you heard it was ... You heard that restaurant wasn't good. So, right? You heard this person was a jerk. So you ever meet someone who everybody told you was a jerk and then you get to know them and they're the coolest person you know? And maybe it's just because that they're confident and they know who they are and everyone read them as a... Have you ever been that person? I've had people come to me and apologize on jobs. Wow, when you first started, man, I thought you were... And I'll be like, why? Well, because you came in and I used to really overdress. So, I was working in call centers answering phones, but I was suited and booted. I was the best dressed person in the building. And people took that as, oh, he thinks he. Well, yeah, it was true. I did think I was the best dressed person in the building. But that didn't mean I thought I was better than anybody. I just have a particular standard that I held myself to, right? But I had people come to me and apologize because once we have an interaction, they're like, oh no, Reese the coolest. What you mean? As a matter of fact, Reese is the most kind, helpful person. Oh, shoot. But, right. You know what I mean? So these things happen. So we can have negative experiences via someone else. So sometimes that lack of confidence comes from those negative experiences. And you're like, well, I never did this before. Well, you just heard it was negative. You just told yourself a story. I ain't getting in that water because I can't swim. I ain't never doing that. Well, why? Well, because I don't know. Right. And if you really unpack it and peel back the layers, you don't have a reason for being afraid to swim. You literally haven't tried it, but you just heard stories. You just saw some things and you tell yourself a story that you can't do that. So negative experiences is one of the big things that causes people to have low self-confidence, poor self-confidence, however you want to word it. Right. What else? What's another one? Here's one. How about unrealistic expectations? Unrealistic expectations causes people to have low self-confidence. What do you mean? You done told yourself a story that things have to be perfect, without flaw. Everything has to be exactly right. You have to have the perfect camera, the perfect lighting, the perfect haircut, the perfect shave. Look, I need a shave. I need all that. This goofy thing is happening. Who cares? My shirt looked like somebody done grabbed me by the collar. I don't know what the heck happened there. Right? But you're afraid to step out there. You're afraid to invest in yourself. You're afraid to do a particular thing. Your confidence is low, right? You have poor self-confidence. You don't trust yourself because you have this story, right? You have this expectation that things have to be perfect in order for you to move forward. Or worse, you have this expectation that because things aren't perfect, there's something wrong with you, right? And now you see yourself as wrong, right? Because things aren't perfect. And therefore, here comes the lack of confidence. Well, how can I do that when this is wrong? Like, you ever see someone who's really good at outlining all of the reasons why they shouldn't or can't do a thing? I get that all the time. And I'm like, let me know when you're done. I hear all that, but stay the course. See you next week. Like, what are we talking about? But it happens, and it's valid because people have these unrealistic expectations. Let me share this with you. Perfect example. So my teenager, he's 17, right? I have two older boys who are 27 and 25, 28 and 25, 20, whatever. They're older than him, right? By a nice little window. So he grew up with older brothers. And so what happens is, he got to see their ups and downs and twists and turns. He got to see them make a lot of mistakes and do things wrong, right? They didn't do everything wrong, but you get the point. He got to see them, he got to see their process, right? And so a lot of things that they were figuring out because they didn't have older brothers, he saw them. And so stay with me. And then his right hand man also is their homie, right? So they have these older brothers. They're 20 somethings now. They're teenagers, and they've seen them kind of navigate life up to this point. And now what my son shared with me was really enlightening. He talked about, right, how there's this feeling that he has to get things right because he has the advantage of perspective. He has the advantage of having me as his dad, right? Understanding my story, seeing my struggles, and now seeing my growth, right? He see me down bad, and now he sees me on the other side of that. So he has the advantage. He knows what that looks like. He knows that growth and transformation is possible. Right? Then he saw his brothers. He saw their ups and downs and twists and turns. And so he's supposed to have an advantage over the rest of us. And that pressure created some unreal expectations. Stay with me, some unrealistic expectations inside of him, right? Which he shared with his right hand man. And now they embody that together. And now they have this fear of stepping out there because they feel like, well, because we've had this advantage of our big brothers, right? That we should get it right every time. Our process should look better. Our process should be perfect. See that? Right? Unrealistic expectations. Right? Doesn't matter how perfect the red carpet was laid out for you. You could trip right over the carpet and fall on your face. Right? And that's okay. But when you put that unrealistic pressure on yourselves, right? Pressure is good, but it needs to make sense, right? I don't like that. I don't like how that felt. It has to be, unrealistic pressure is not healthy, right? Because what's unrealistic pressure? If it's causing you not to move forward, if it's keeping you frozen in time, if it's causing you to lack the confidence to step out there and do, right? If it's causing you not to trust in your skills, trust in your abilities, and trust your own judgment, right? Then it's too much, right? Because you need to be taking action and doing and building. But we can get to that in a second. So negative experiences and unreal expectations, right? Do you have any stories that you're telling yourself about how things should be or ought to be or need to be or have to be before you take the next step? And while you're holding yourself to some unrealistic standard, right, of perfection, what even is that, right? Time is passing you by. We're about to be at New Year's again. And you said you were going to do that thing at the beginning of last year. And now we like 40 some days from the new year again, and you still haven't started because everything hasn't been perfectly aligned yet because you have this unreal expectation about what that needs to look like. Right? So what else? Uh-oh. Hold on. Let me dismiss this one. Hold on. 15 minutes. I'll call you back. So negative experiences, unrealistic expectations. What else? What else causes poor self-confidence, right? I got it. Comparison, right? Comparison. Always comparing yourself to other people. Always you minding everybody else's business, right? Getting caught up in that comparison trap, looking at how what's the name did it and how what's the name did it and what she's doing and what he's doing and how they're living and how she's living and what this is and what that is. And you're comparing where you are in your process to where you think they are in their process based on the bits and pieces of information that you have. And now you're struggling. You think you're behind, right? Because you're comparing. And now you don't want to step up. You don't want to hang your art on the wall because you're looking at, the beautiful painting that what's the name hung on his or her wall. And now, again, your self-confidence is you're like, You're sliding out of your chair. You're hiding. You have all this beautiful art that you are afraid to hang on the wall. Why? Because you're comparing your stuff to everyone else's when art is subjective, right? Your art is beautiful. You know why it's beautiful? Because it came from you, because you created it. But if you don't have the courage, right, or the self-confidence, which is what we're talking about, to hang your art on the wall, right? And if what's stopping you is you looking at all the other paintings in the hallway and you're like, ooh, I ain't hanging my stuff out here. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Minding other people's business. Right? So that's another thing that causes poor self-confidence, low self-confidence, part of me, causes us not to trust in our own skills and abilities. Right? You know that you're great at that. But then you look over here and here's what I used to do. Right? I have proof. Right? I have proof, 2 decades plus of proof that I am called to serve people, right? I've been serving people, changing lives, speaking publicly, doing all the things since the late 90s, right? Yes, 20 plus years I've been at this thing, right? And I used to make the mistake of looking over at the top 1% of the people, right? Who do what I do or something similar to what I do. And because I didn't have what they had, because I didn't do it the way that they did it, I thought that something was wrong with me. And I had the track record. I have the evidence. I have the social proof. I have the social proof. Listen, I show you my messages. I have the social proof. I have the evidence. I have the videos. I have the life-changing. I have those interactions every day, but I still got caught in the comparison trap. And it still caused me to hesitate. Still caused me to play small when I was in certain places. So it happens to everyone. No one is exempt from this happening. So the more we're conscious of it, the more we're aware of it, right? And the more we do the things we need to do to constantly, consistently develop our self-confidence, the better off we are, right? Because it'll happen. So don't get caught in that comparison trap. It's dangerous. Hang your art on the wall. You love it first, and we'll follow your lead and love it as well, right? So what else? What else? So we got negative experiences. We got unrealistic expectations. We got the comparison trap. And we got, how about the fear of failure, right? As soon as I get on live, my phone wants to get lit. We have the fear of failure, right? I'm afraid. I'm afraid to fail. Because what does that mean? Because if I do this and it flops, right? What does that mean? And we have our identity completely wrapped up in the things, right? Let me tell you something. I'm on here now and I don't even know if anyone's on here because I can't see anything because of this goofy thing right here. I could be talking to myself, but that's okay because I'm being obedient to what God told me to share and do, right? And so, what even is failure? What's failure? If you hang your art on a wall and people just walk past it and ignore it, did you fail? Did you? Right? You get to define failure. You won the moment you decided, right, to create a thing, you won. Then you won again when you found the courage to actually hang your art on the wall, right? And then you won again when you stepped away and left it for the world to judge it. So you're winning, winning, winning. So just because everyone is just walking past it, that's not a failure. But again, if we have this fear and we have this story about what failure looks like, and a lot of it goes back to the other things that I shared, right? Looking around at everybody else and seeing, well, I posted my video and only had X amount of likes and, whatever. And Sally posted hers and, man, look at that. Johnny posted his and, man, look at that. Johnny ain't saying nothing so much deeper than what I'm saying. Sally she ain't doing nothing so much different than what I'm doing. Man, I'm a failure. Let me take it down. Let me delete that post. Let me, whatever. And whatever version of that, however that shows up in your life, right? If this is connecting with you, right, there's that fear. But what even is failure? And that's a whole nother discussion. But the fear of failure causes us to play small, causes us not to take any risks, causes us not to shoot our shot. I might miss, so I'm not even going to shoot it. Because that's wise, because that makes sense. I want to score. I've been practicing my shot, right? I have an opportunity. They swing the rock my way, but I might miss them. I ain't even going. And then you're frustrated because you didn't score any points, but you didn't take any shots. Well, I didn't take any shots because because I didn't. Oh, someone is on here. Exactly. Right? You make 100% of the shots you don't take, right? Think about that. You make 100% of the shots you don't take. Exactly. Right? So you get to live in that. You know, you get to be that. So yes, perfect. You perfect. You got exactly what you wanted. You got exactly what you aimed for. So if your aim was to be at 100%, you're at 100%. But where's that even realistic? In basketball, the best shooters are around 50%, like the best of the best of the best. Baseball, Hall of Fame is 30%. You bat 300, you're amazing. You know, they paint murals with you on it if you're at 30%. So we can't be afraid to fail. We have to swing. We have to let it fly. We have to shoot our shot. And we can't be afraid of those outcomes. But that's another reason why people lack confidence. And the last one, just to kind of put a bow on this, I got some work to do, is literally just people have poor self-esteem. Yeah, poor self-esteem. A lot of people don't understand the difference there because a lot of those words are used interchangeably. But self-esteem is the reputation we acquire with ourselves based on our decisions and how we interact with the world. So what the hell does that mean? You have a reputation with you. Do I? Yes, you do. Based on the choices you make and how you move and how you interact with the world. So whenever you encounter a situation, there's a file there, right? You have a reputation. Just like if I'm always late, and I'll tell you I'm gonna be there at 7, but I'm always late. You're not expecting me to be there at 7. You're like, whatever. So in your case, that might look like, I'm doing this year. I'm cutting out sugar. I'm in the gym every day. I'm going to write 5 books. I'm going to do this. I'm going to quit my job. And you're looking at yourself like, boy, please. You'll never keep your word to yourself. You said you was going to get up at this time of day. You ain't got up yet. Now, magically, you're going to do this stuff. Yeah, right. And that's literally what's happening because we have a reputation with ourselves. That's why we can get into a situation and we're okay because, oh, this is familiar, right? I have a track record or a reputation in dealing with and in navigating situations and circumstances like this one. Oh, okay, cool. And so when we have a poor reputation with ourselves, right? That's why we don't trust ourselves. If I always lie to you, you don't trust me. If you always lie to you, you don't, right? If you're not honest, then how are you going to trust your judgment if you're always dishonest? Dishonest with yourself. We ain't even talking about the outside world. But if I'm dishonest with me, if I don't keep my word to me, that's why I don't trust me, right? I don't trust in my skills and abilities. Why? Because I don't practice, because I don't put in the work. I don't put in the effort. So there are certain areas where it's like, no, that's not my thing. But then there are certain areas where, no, that's my thing. I do that. I trust myself in those areas. My reputation with me is phenomenal in this area. Over here, not so much. And there's a constant judgment going on. You're constantly judging yourself, whether you realize it or not. And every time you step forward, you get a point. But when you don't, you lose 2 points. So when you step up, good for me. But when you don't, and then you gain a reputation with yourself, pardon me, as the type of person who, right? And then when that happens, in comes the confidence, in comes that trust in yourself. Because I'm the type of person that no matter what happens, I'm going to figure it out. I'm the type of person who always has an answer, always has a positive solution, a way forward. No matter what test, trial, or challenge shows up, I always, right, have the words and the energy that a person needs to resolve their issue. Always, every time. Well, that's a bold statement. It's a true statement. Well, how do I know? Because my track record says so, and my track record says so because I put in the effort. I put in the time and energy, effort and money to ensure that I'm always ready. So that call I just had that I told them I would hit them back in 15 minutes, right? That's someone popping smoke. I'm 911 for a lot of people. I have a reputation for having an answer. So when people are at their lowest, the people that know me, I'm the person they reach out to. I may not hear from them until then. And that's okay. I've accepted who I am. That's perfectly fine. I'm strong and confident in that area. I don't have everyday friends in my life. And that's okay. Like, I'm perfectly fine with that. Don't cry for me. I'm perfectly fine with that. I may not be good. I may not be the everyday friend. I may not be good at that because I'm always ready to put out a fire because that's who I am and that's what I do. So whatever the need is that person has, I'm 1,000,000% confident that I'm going to be able to guide them through this situation. That they're in a storm. Cool. I got you. I absolutely got you. Now, if they told me they needed me to knit something for them, they told me they wanted me to draw something, my stick figure struggle. You know, that's not my thing. So my reputation with myself when it comes to, you get where I'm going? So if you don't have a healthy reputation with yourself, you have that poor self-esteem, then that maps right to low self-confidence, and it shows itself in every area of our lives. So anyway, I got time for a question. Any questions I can answer? And while I'm waiting on the questions, listen, if something connected with you, right? And you'd like to have a conversation, if you're struggling in an area, if confidence is a thing for you, if you feel stuck, listen, book a call. Let's have a conversation. I guarantee you that